Hello, gorgeous Gemini, and welcome to January 2021. Wow. A new year. Some big, juicy, bold new energetic cycles. And I'm having so much fun talking to air signs in January because suddenly there is this movement in air energy with Saturn and Jupiter there. And then, of course, this month we will be shifting into Aquarius season and we'll be having Mercury moving through Aquarius, and then there's a retrograde beginning in Aquarius in January. So all this energy moving through Aquarius, it's such a different flavor than we were working with. We were working with the heaviness of Capricorn Earth energy. And this is changing the landscape for all of us. But for air signs specifically, what I see there is where there was for a while there some challenges to air energy, some defiance to air energy. Now we're starting to get into a flow state. So one of the first things I want to talk about with you all this month is that shift and kind of how to temper yourself into this next energetic cycle. That's a lot of what January is about, is tempering ourselves into this new energetic cycle. And for you, it's this really big shift from being in 8th house energy, which we were talking about a lot, what I like to call digging through the midnight garden. It's about working from behind the scenes. It's about working with transformation and grief and the hidden and the taboo. And it's really, really potent and powerful, and it can actually create a lot of beautiful magic in your life, but it's also quite demanding, very honest, and can sometimes make you kind of work on things that you didn't see coming. So shifting into the energy moving through Aquarius, Saturn, Jupiter, this Mercury retrograde, and the sun moving into Aquarius, all of this energy is going to suddenly be lifting you up and taking you to the bigger picture and exploring what that bigger picture is. And I think in combination with the fact that the north node of the moon is still in your sign for another year, you have this beautiful landscape to work with when it comes to what you're going to do next. But I find that shifting from the hidden, behind the scenes, deep spiritual work into more of this expansive, playful, more air, fire type energy can be a little bit of a shock to the system. It's almost like, just changing temperatures really quickly, right? And which can be a good thing, right? Like a sauna experience, but it can also be a little jarring. So it's important to get acquainted with this new energy this month for you all. It's important to take some time to just take a look around. There's a lot of supportive energy here though for you this month with those shiftovers. We also have a full moon in Leo, which is going to help you get creative, brainstorm, think about ideas about how you want to shift the pieces in your life. That's going to be really fun. Oh, 2 cards wanted to come out. Knight of Cups and the High Priestess, like what I'm seeing. Water energy, interesting. We also have a couple other big shifts going on. Mars, which has been in Aries for 6 months, is moving on to Taurus in your 12th house. And Uranus this month is going direct in your 12th house in Taurus. So this 12th house energy, that's really interesting, right? Because I'm just talking about how there's all this positive energy flowing through air signs now. We've got a lot in Aquarius. We've got the North Node in Gemini. There's an air sign focus coming into play here that's really important in the coming months and years. There's also, for you all, there's also this pinging on your neighboring sign of Taurus on your 12th house on still using your gifts and talents from behind the scenes to make things move forward. So while, yes, you're going to be noticing that your natural talents, gifts, and abilities to think and to put ideas together and to communicate, Queen of Wands, very nice, is still there, you're going to still want to come back to some of those resources you learned from doing the behind the scenes work. Come back to those spaces to bring yourself forward. So you may be finding this month that you're using both sources. This month I'm pulling 3 cards from my classic deck. And then I'm pulling 3 cards from my Cosmic Tarot, or 1 card from my Cosmic Tarot as the overarching message of this month. I want to also just say, you know, try not to burn yourself out too fast this month. I think the electricity of air energy, Aquarian energy especially, it's a little electrical. It's a little wild. And we have not been working with this energy for a while, and some of us are going to have to adjust more than others. But it can fry your circuits a little bit if you're trying to demand too much of yourself in January. You're wanting to, you know, this month is not filled with all the earth-shattering energy that we were having in October, November, December, which had so many retrogrades and eclipses and shifts in energy. It's a lot softer, but it's also still crackling with this energy. And so especially Gemini, you're going to be really hungry to be playing in this new energy and to be moving very fast. Just make sure that you are grounding when you can. Queen of Pentacles came out just as I said grounding when you can. The Queen of Grounding comes out. Okay. Interesting mixture of personalities. You know, these are all individuals sitting in a space of knowledge, wisdom, sovereignty, and looking around them. So we start with Knight of Cups. First of all, you all, this is just fun. To me, the Knight of Cups is such a fun card to get because he is so romantic. This is truth, love, and beauty. This is idealism. And it's the love of those beautiful, sweet things in life that sometimes we get a little bit jaded to, right? We get a little bit jaded about how we feel about truth, love, and beauty and beautiful things. So right away this month, as we're working into this new year, this new powerful time, you're being asked to open yourself up to this truth, love, and beauty. Of course, the shadow side to this energy is that you can get so idealistic that you don't pay attention to things that you need to pay attention to, or you just see what you want to see, right? And we all had moments where we've done that. However, when I think about us coming out of a really intense year, and I think about Gemini's coming out of all that heavy work in Capricorn, the way it was aspecting you was very intense, very demanding of you. And I think about what we need coming into January. We need to kind of come back to some simpler beliefs in something beautiful to us. And I will say this, with Jupiter and Saturn and the Sun and this Mercury retrograde all happening in Aquarius, in your 9th house of your big vision, how you perceive of the world is really important right now. And this is a great month to kind of just workshop. Just notice how you're talking to yourself about the world you live in. You know, is it a world where you have like a parental authority figure, kind of divine figure that is still punishing you for things or looking for ways to hurt us all? Is there an authority in your mind that kind of like speaks to you and dictates how you see the world? The Knight of Cups not only brings possibly, you know, romantic connection or really beautiful creative connections, it's also inviting you to kind of look for these gems of wisdom right off the bat. There is a calling for you to make sure you're doing that first and foremost, and anything that follows after that is going to have a little bit more connectivity and meaning for you. Now, it's really interesting too, because you remember how I said that we have Mars moving into Taurus, we have Uranus going direct in Taurus, and these are energies right next door to you. If you happen to be a Gemini rising especially, these energies are working in your spiritual 12th house. High Priestess is all about that spiritual 12th house. It's the hidden, it's the unseen, it's the process that we do on a soul level that eventually sometimes ripples out into the physical. But the point here is to come back to those initiations and those understandings. So what I'm seeing here is you getting ushered into a phase where it's important to bring forward your belief in something beautiful. And it's important for some of your core beliefs to be based around this messaging. And I know, you know, gems, you all are beautiful people. You're playful, creative, funny, sociable, connective, And I think, the classic thing, right? You have a couple different sides of you. You have a side that believes and is so hopeful and warm, and you have a side of yourself that can be very resistant, cynical, wary of coming into that can be wary of too much hope, too much brightness, too much ease, right? And I think we all have that in a side of ourselves. So this is coming back to some really deep wellspring of knowing within yourself. We also have a new moon and Venus entering Capricorn and the sun moving through Capricorn for a lot of the month, which is still a mystical part of the year for you. This is a part of the year that does have to do with rebirth, that does have to do with reconnection to self, redefinition of self, and coming back out into a light or a warmth that feels good for you. So the Knight of Cups and the High Priestess is really an invitation for you to make sure that you are checking in with that part of the process as much as possible as a way to move you forward. Now, that's not the only part of this process, because, that's beautiful energy, and it welcomes in and it ushers in beautiful connectivity. You also have these queens. First the Queen of Wands. And that makes me think of that Leo moon. It makes me think of the energy moving through the Leo-Aquarius axis. It makes me think about how one of the things that's going to be important at this time is how we build into sustainable long-term projects, and how we take our time to really perceive and pay attention and know that not everything has to happen at lightning speed. Queen of Wands is, yes, she's associated with strong, willful action. She's associated with confidence and sass and mercilessly following her own knowing, right? That's one of the biggest gifts she gives us. She also does that knowing that it's okay to take a second and look around. So when she does take those brazen actions, when she does take those wild, clear, insightful movements, it's from a place of really solid, grounded awareness. And I think, when I see the Queen of Wands, what I see you is coming into that empowered place of integrity where there is movement through the world. I see you doing things in January, making those connections, planting all those little seeds, starting to connect all the dots, absolutely. But it's okay to also have times where you rest and you look around. So that's important. To me, the High Priestess and the Queen of Wands as a pair, it's like, here's your spiritual movement, here's your practical movement, and the two together are extremely powerful. So have fun with that. Now, like I said, it's important during this very airy time coming up and this very crackling electrical time, especially for you mutable air people, to find some grounding. Queen of Pentacles, if she's showing up too, this is what I will say. She's kind of the icon, I would say, of JOMO, joy of missing out. And I mean that in the sense of sometimes we feel like we have to say yes to everything, like we have to show up for everything, like we have to give away all of our energy and look out for others and do all of that. And the Queen of Pentacles has no problem being like, you know what, not today, right? I have so much self-respect. I have so much love, being loving of myself, that I'm going to do what I need to do. And I think there's a message here, because you have all this crackling energy right here that's like you're connecting, you're having romantic encounters, you're having creative sparks, you're taking actions in the world that really line up with who you are now after all this transformational work. You're not fiddling around with things that don't feel quite right, and that's great. But it's also just as important, if you're feeling like you're on a roll, or you're about to get on a roll, or you're doing a lot of stuff, to also know that it's okay that there are things you may feel that you want to pull back from, that you want to nurture yourself a little bit, and that you want to honor and protect your energy. So a big challenge for January, I think, is finding balance, finding some harmony between the grounding aspects and closing out the last energetic cycle, and the crackling electrical opening aspects and the vastness of that and the excitement of it. And I do think the way that you're going to be funneling those knowings and those processes through the month of January is going to be coming back to your core beliefs about who you are, how this world works, and if you're and what stories you're telling yourselves, right? About that bigger lens of the world, that your bigger spiritual lens, your bigger practical lens. What is your philosophy there, and what voice is speaking to you when it comes to the actions you take and your worthiness, and all of that is going to come up time and again in January. But it's a huge place of empowerment, so enjoy it. It's one of my favorite places to do work in. And I always find personally that this is a space that you can come back to again and again and check in with and just notice, because the way we define the world is constantly changing. And depending on what we've just been through, we may be in a wave where we're feeling really hopeful and expansive and have inverse paranoia where things are working out for our highest good. And there are times when we feel really worn out and a little bit disheartened by some of the cruelty and pain that goes on in the world. And I think that's a really important and natural conversation to always be having with the universe. But it is important to kind of come back to some of our sweet, wholesome, childlike beliefs and things. And I think that's what keeps coming up in this reading. Self-nurturing, honor yourself, honor it. Just honor it, right? Now, I have a New Year blessing to take with you for this New Year. Here it is. May the year be full of pleasant, joyful surprises and help. May beautiful new visions be planted, and may you watch them bloom with ease and grace. May all the gifts you created deep down in your soul come out to play in the light. I think for me, that's what I think about when I think about Gemini energy in 2021. I think about all those deep down lessons, those deep down gifts that were worked through and understood, blossoming out of you and coming back into the light and playing in the world. And I feel like January is just the very tip of the iceberg on that. In fact, these cards just kind of speak to that. It's like, you may feel like you need to already have the proof that this year is going to be different and that this year is going to open up, and you may be really hungry for all the movement to happen in January. But I'll tell you right now, only a part of it will, and you will be seeing glimmers of it, but don't let that kind of mess with your head. Know that there's more blooming ahead. January is just the tip. So I will see you all in February. If you're looking for some support during the powerful month of January, I will be doing some great activations and conversations over on my Patreon. I would love to see you there. You can also find me on my Instagram and my website, so I'll leave all those links below. You can also find my beautiful friend Tiffany's PinkLune jewelry on her Etsy shop, so I'll leave her link below as well. I will see you for more Moon Magics and for February. Take such good care, Gemini, and I will talk to you very soon.